Now I want to bring in two radio hosts who are hearing from voters. They've got their ear to the ground or their ear to the radio or to the speakers. Joining me now is Tony Katz from WIBC in Indianapolis and nationally syndicated talk show host Dennis Prager. He supports Ted Cruz, but says he would back Donald Trump if he wins a GOP nomination. It's good to have both of you on. Good evening to you. Tony, you first. You doing okay?
Doing wonderful, man. The excitement's here, the energy's here. We're ready for tomorrow, and then we'll have a drink when it's all over.
Well, let's talk about the polls first before we get into that exchange with Ted Cruz and the Trump supporters. Tony, do polls in Indiana tell the whole story? What are your listeners saying?
I think it's half the story. Can you make the argument that Trump is truly in the lead here? Absolutely. Is it 15 points as NBC Wall Street Journal sees it? I don't think so. ARG had it 9, Clout had it 2, and then there's that Mike Downs poll, which was over a longer period of time, which was plus 16 for Cruz. Now, listen, you got to be in Todd Akin territory to see a 31-point swing the other way. That's not what's happening here. It is Trump's race to lose, and one of the ways you know that he's serious about it is that he was not only back in Indiana today, but he did some retail politicking today. He stopped at Shapiro's Delicatessen, which is a mainstay here in Indianapolis, unannounced, to shake some hands and talk to people, had a Reuben with Brian Shapiro, the owner. I happened to be there when it happened. If Donald is retail politicking, it means he wants to close the deal. And he either feels that he needs to do a little bit more, or he wants to slam it shut and own this contest and make sure he goes to Cleveland with the delegates.
Tony, let me get Dennis in here now. Dennis, before you respond, I want you to listen to Dana Bash's interview today with Ted Cruz. Here it is.
Donald Trump only needs 47% of remaining delegates to win the nomination outright. You need 132%. So will you support his candidacy if he, Donald Trump, gets the delegates before Cleveland?
Dana, nobody's going to get to 1237. I'm not going to get to it, but neither is Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, I think Indiana is going to be a critical state in that. Indiana's voting tomorrow, and I'm encouraged that we're seeing conservatives come together, including especially Governor Mike Pence.
What makes you so sure he won't get the delegates? I mean, getting 47% of the remaining delegates isn't inconceivable at all.
Well, he hasn't gotten 47% to date. That's better than he's done, and I'll tell you.
But he sure did well last week.
You're right. He did well in his home state, and he did well in the adjoining states. He won 5 states last week, but I'll tell you, in the 3 weeks that preceded that, I won 5 states in a row, starting with Utah, then North Dakota, then Wisconsin, then Colorado, then Wyoming. 1.3 million people voted in those states.
All right, so Dennis, that may be true, but there is no denying Donald Trump's lead in delegates and in raw votes. If Ted Cruz gets crushed in Indiana, should he get out?
No. First of all, you do have to get 1,237 votes, and I have this issue with a number of my callers to the show where they say, no, the guy who gets the most votes should get the nomination. And that's not the way it even works in presidential elections. You can get the most votes and lose the election. You have to win the electoral votes. States are allowed to set the rules that they have. And I have to tell you, this constant statement by Donald Trump that it's rigged, this is the reason I so oppose him. As you correctly noted, I will vote for him because my only other choice is Hillary Clinton. But I am so oppose him because of the dishonesty that pervades his campaign. It's not rigged. These rules were set up before Donald Trump announced that he would run for president, and yet he keeps saying rigged. You have to have 1,237 votes to win the nomination in the Republican Party. That's the rule.
Dennis, don't you think, but haven't you heard that even some party leaders, this is inside information that some of the pundits have been saying on media outlets, that the Republican Party, especially the leaders, are coming around to maybe believe what Donald Trump is saying, or to go along with it at least, that whoever gets the closest should be the one.
Right. Well, it gives you an idea of how much closer the establishment really is to Donald Trump than it is to Ted Cruz, as John Boehner made clear, calling the guy Lucifer in the flesh and then calling him an SOB but not using the initials. The truth is Donald Trump is the insider and Ted Cruz is the outsider. But somehow or other, the way it's been portrayed has not just been accurate.
Wow. Okay. Donald Trump is now the insider. So listen.
Yes, he is. He had Hillary Clinton at his wedding. The guy is good with all of these.
Well, Hillary Clinton is not part of the Republican Party. But anyway, let's move on because I want to talk about this confrontation now, Tony. Ted Cruz had with Trump supporters. It lasted about 7 minutes today. I want to play another clip. This one is about the Second Amendment. Here it is.
Question.
What are you going to do
the
about
Second
the Second
Amendment?
Amendment?
All right. I have defended the Second Amendment in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. Donald Trump is a New York liberal who will take away your Second Amendment rights. This man is lying to you, and he's taking advantage of you. And I would encourage you, sir. Look, I appreciate your being out here speaking. If I were Donald Trump, I wouldn't have come over and talked to you. I wouldn't have shown you that respect. In fact, you know what I would have done? I would have told the folks over there, go over and punch those guys in the face. That's what Donald does to protesters.
Yes.
So, Tony, this is the last word. He's calling Donald Trump a liar, says he's deceiving the voters. Indiana voters, will they believe him?
Oh, will the Indiana voters believe that Donald is deceiving them? Even if they were to somehow believe that on this subject or that subject, maybe Donald isn't perfect, they've bought into that larger picture concept and idea. And Ted Cruz is getting attacked for this. Man, talk about tough, walk over and take the hits. And you see a lot of those Trump supporters thrilled to insult, thrilled to try and humiliate. And there's Ted Cruz taking it absolutely, positively, directly. This might be too little, too late, though. A lot of the die is cast. I'm not saying that it's definitely going to be a Trump win tomorrow. It is his momentum. It is Trump's race to lose. And you still may have people coming to the polls tomorrow. They're still not sure. They're still going to decide. They're going to be right there. Oh, I could do it for Trump, and then realize that they can't. That's very possible here.
Hey, Dennis, I will give you a chance to respond. I said it was the last word, but I'll give you a chance quickly if you can. Do you think it's too little too late, him going across and trying to convince voters like that?
It might be. I don't understand why they just didn't have, and maybe they did. I don't live in Indiana. I live in California, the last and least in terms of primaries, although this year, hopefully, it may not be the least. But I don't understand why people were just not shown over and over a man running for president of the United States mocking John McCain, who was tortured for years in the Vietnam War, mocking him as a loser. Why they didn't have over and over his speaking about the size of his genitals to a national audience. I mean, he is the anti-president.
Why? Who didn't have over and over that?
Why Cruz or any Republican group that doesn't want Trump didn't have ads over and over and over saying nothing, just saying, is this presidential? That's
Maybe the
all you have to
research shows
ask.
that it just doesn't work with his voters.
Well, if it
Maybe
doesn't, okay, then you know what? It's a dark time in America if that doesn't work.
All right, Tony, thank you. Dennis, thank you. I appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thank you. We come right back. Indiana voters votes in just hours, and is the GOP's Never Trump movement about to run out of gas, and who will get their votes? Plus, Larry Wilmore uses the N-word in his set at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and people are still arguing about it tonight. We'll hear from both sides.